God chose you, or why divine isolation is your hidden advantage or God's chosen path. Not everyone will understand this message, but if it stirs your soul, it was meant for you. Today we embark on a journey into a topic that resonates deeply with so many of you: the divine isolation of God's chosen ones. Have you ever found yourself in a season of solitude where the world feels distant, connections fade, and you wonder, why am I being set apart like this? If this strikes a chord, let me assure you it is not a coincidence. It's part of God's greater plan for you. When God isolates, it's not to punish, but to prepare, transform, and refine. Remember Moses, who spent 40 years in the wilderness before leading Israel out of bondage, Exodus 3:1-12, or Joseph, who endured the pit and the prison before ascending to power, Genesis 37:23-28, 41:41-44. Their isolation was God's way of shaping them for their destiny, and now He's doing the same for you. To everyone supporting this channel, I extend my heartfelt gratitude. Your encouragement, likes, shares, and especially your super thanks contributions are blessings that fuel this mission. I cannot thank you enough for being part of this journey. If this message speaks to you, take a moment to declare your faith by commenting 777 below. Let it be a sign that you're ready to embrace the revelation of why God may be isolating you in this season. So why does God choose to isolate His beloved? What divine purpose could possibly lie behind such loneliness? The answers may surprise you. Let's dive in and uncover the 4 profound reasons why God isolates His chosen ones. Get ready to see your journey in a whole new light. First reason why God isolates the chosen: to protect you. Have you ever found yourself yearning to be part of a group, a relationship, or an opportunity that seemed perfect on the surface? Perhaps it looked inviting, filled with promise, and even aligned with your desires. But then, without warning, that door closed. It can feel frustrating, even heartbreaking. But let me remind you, what you do not see, God sees. God, in His infinite wisdom, has a vision far broader and deeper than ours. He perceives the intentions of hearts, the hidden motives of people, and the spiritual realities that lie beneath the surface. While certain environments or relationships may seem harmless or even appealing, God knows what they truly carry. Sometimes what appears as a blessing may be laced with unseen dangers or harmful energies. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what if that opportunity I wanted so badly was actually a trap disguised as a gift? God removes you from places, people, or situations to shield you from harm you cannot yet perceive. We see this truth vividly in the story of Lot and his family. When God commanded them to leave Sodom, it wasn't just an escape plan, it was divine protection. On the surface, Sodom may have seemed prosperous, even thriving, but God knew its corruption and impending destruction. Genesis 19:15-17. In the same way, when God pulls you away, it is not to harm you, but to safeguard you from what could destroy your purpose, peace, or purity. Reflect for a moment. Are there people in your life whose intentions may not align with your best interests, even if they appear kind? Could God be stepping in to protect you from relationships or situations that no longer serve your calling? Take Joseph, for example. His isolation began when his own brothers sold him into slavery, Genesis 37:28. To Joseph, it must have felt like abandonment, but in reality, God was orchestrating a plan to position him for greatness. What Joseph didn't see in the moment was that the very act of separation was God's protection and preparation for His destiny. Dear chosen one, have you ever felt God pulling you away from something or someone you thought was good for you? What if this separation was God's loving hand, shielding you from unseen harm? Instead of mourning the closed doors, could you trust that they are part of His divine plan to guard your spirit and protect your future? God's isolation is never rejection, it is always redirection. In the quiet spaces of solitude, He surrounds you with His presence, strengthens your heart, and ensures your safety. As Psalm 121:7 reminds us, the Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. In His infinite wisdom, God keeps His chosen ones away from environments and people that could harm them. Sometimes danger doesn't arrive looking like danger. It comes disguised as friendship, opportunity, or support. Not everyone who smiles at you has your best interests at heart. There are those who may bring doubt, insecurity, or even try to lead you off the path God has laid out for you. Have you ever felt uneasy around someone, even though they appeared friendly? Could it be that God was whispering a warning to your spirit? The Bible reminds us of the subtle dangers of bad company. Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character, 1 Corinthians 15:33. God, in His goodness, shields you from these negative influences. When you feel a sudden distance from someone, or are prevented from entering a certain space, it might be God's hand at work. Don't force connections that God is trying to break. Trust that He is saving you from something you cannot yet see. Think about Joseph again. Imagine the pain he felt when his brothers betrayed him. But what if Joseph had stayed with his brothers, surrounded by their jealousy and negativity? Could he have risen to fulfill his destiny as a leader in Egypt? God allowed the separation to protect and prepare him. Have you been clinging to relationships or places that may no longer serve your purpose? Could God be asking you to release them so He can protect you? Yes, isolation can feel lonely and heavy. It's natural to grieve the loss of certain connections, but this is also an opportunity to realign your focus, to reconnect with God, and to strengthen your faith. In this space, you can ask yourself, what truly matters in my life? Where is God leading me now? The time of isolation is not a punishment, it is a blessing. By distancing you from unhealthy environments and relationships, God is creating space in your life for new opportunities, divine connections, and blessings that align with His purpose for you. Remember the words of Jeremiah 29:11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." So, dear chosen one, if you are experiencing this season of isolation, trust in God's work. He is not only protecting you, but also preparing you for something greater. What might God be making room for in your life right now? Allow this time to strengthen your discernment and grow closer to God. In His perfect timing, the relationships and opportunities meant for you will come, not to harm, but to lift you higher. Second reason why God isolates the chosen, to prepare you for something greater. Chosen one, have you felt as though life has slowed down, leaving you in a season of waiting, solitude? It may feel like everything is on hold, but this pause is not without purpose. God is working behind the scenes, preparing you for something far beyond what you can see now. Every moment of isolation is a step in His divine process of shaping and refining you. Throughout the Bible, God has consistently prepared His chosen ones in private before unveiling their purpose to the world. Take David, for example. After his stunning victory over Goliath, 1 Samuel 17, he didn't immediately ascend to the throne. Instead, David entered a long period of trials, fleeing from Saul, wandering in deserts, and learning to lead a group of outcasts. 1 Samuel 22:1-2. Does it feel like your life, much like David's, is filled with challenges rather than triumphs? Could it be that God is using this time to build within you the resilience and strength required for your destiny? These seasons of isolation serve a greater purpose. God uses them to strip away what no longer serves you, old habits, unhealthy attachments, or misplaced priorities, and replace them with the virtues you'll need for the next chapter of your life. Joseph's time in prison is another example. Though it seemed like a delay, it was the training ground for his eventual leadership over Egypt. Genesis 41:39-41. What seemed like a detour was actually preparation for greatness. The Bible reminds us of the intentionality of these seasons. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. James 1:2-4. In the stillness of this season, God is refining your character and deepening your faith. He is teaching you patience, instilling wisdom, and preparing your heart to carry the weight of the mission He has planned for you. How might this period of isolation be drawing you closer to God and His plans for your life? Could it be an opportunity to rediscover what truly matters? God's process is never hurried, yet it is always perfectly timed. Like clay in the hands of a potter, you are being molded into a vessel capable of holding the blessings and responsibilities He has designed for you. Every lesson learned in solitude will equip you for the challenges and triumphs that lie ahead. As 1 Peter 5:10 promises, "And after you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace, who called you to His eternal glory in Christ, will Himself perfect, confirm, strengthen, and establish you." If you find yourself in a quiet season, trust that this time is sacred. Rather than focusing on what feels like a loss, ask yourself, what may God be preparing me for? You are not forgotten, you are being shaped for a purpose. Chosen one, it's natural to desire a swift path to success, to want the doors to open immediately, and to step into your destiny without delay. But God, in His wisdom, knows that true promotion cannot come until we are fully prepared to carry its weight. He will not elevate those who are not ready. The isolation you may be experiencing now is not a punishment. It is a season of preparation, a sacred time where God is working deeply within you. This process is essential for your destiny. It is during this quiet, hidden season that you have the opportunity to strengthen your faith, seek God with greater intimacy, and gain clarity about your purpose. Skipping this preparation would be like attempting to build a house on sand instead of on a solid foundation. God is ensuring that your foundation is strong, capable of supporting the calling He has placed on your life. Have you ever thought about how the challenges you face now are shaping you into the person God is calling you to become? The Bible offers us countless examples of this divine preparation. Consider Moses, who spent 40 years tending sheep in the wilderness before God called him to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. Exodus 3:1-12. That time of solitude was not wasted. It was where Moses learned patience, humility, and reliance on God. Without those years in the desert, he would not have been ready for the monumental task ahead. What if the isolation you're experiencing right now is your wilderness, a space where God is refining and equipping you for the challenges and victories to come? Every trial you endure, every moment of loneliness has a purpose. These experiences are shaping you, removing what no longer serves you, and equipping you with the strength, wisdom, and resilience needed to step fully into your destiny. This is not a time to rush or resist. It is a time to trust and grow. The Apostle Paul reminds us of the value of perseverance during these times. Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance, character, and character, hope. Romans 5:3-4. When you feel isolated, remember that this could be a sign of God's hand actively working in your life. How are you using this time of waiting? Are you deepening your relationship with God and preparing your heart for what's to come? This is your opportunity to grow stronger, to cultivate patience, and to build the skills and faith that will sustain you when God's appointed time arrives. When that moment comes, you won't just step into your purpose, you'll thrive in it. As Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens." So, chosen one, trust the process. This season of preparation is not wasted, it is a divine investment in your future. When the right moment comes, you will be ready to shine brightly and fulfill the incredible purpose God has planned for your life. The third reason why God isolates the chosen: to empower you. Dear chosen one, have you noticed that seasons of isolation are often accompanied by trials and challenges? This is no coincidence. God allows these moments not to weaken you, but to empower you. It is in solitude, stripped of distractions and external validation, that you uncover strengths and abilities you didn't even know were within you. Consider David once more. Before he ever wore a crown, he had to lead a group of men who were outcasts, those society had rejected. 1 Samuel 22:1-2. These men were broken, discouraged, and burdened by their struggles. But under David's leadership, they became a mighty army. This was not an easy task. David had to learn how to deal with their weaknesses, earn their trust, and guide them toward a unified purpose. This process was not just about training others, it was about shaping David into a king capable of leading an entire nation. Could the challenges you are facing now be God's way of equipping you with the skills and resilience needed for your calling? God uses these seasons of isolation to teach His chosen ones how to navigate adversity, handle difficult people, and develop the leadership qualities necessary for their destiny. Think of Moses, who led an entire nation out of bondage, or Esther, who saved her people by stepping into a dangerous role. Each of them faced moments of isolation and personal struggle that ultimately empowered them for greatness. The Bible reminds us that trials have a purpose. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. James 1:2-3. What if the difficulties you're enduring are building within you the perseverance and character required for the next phase of your journey? These moments of empowerment are often hidden in challenges. When you face hardships, you begin to lean on God's strength rather than your own. You develop problem-solving skills, patience, and the ability to inspire others, even in the face of difficulty. Like David leading his men, you may find yourself rising to challenges that seem insurmountable, only to realize that God has already equipped you for the task. Have you taken time to reflect on the abilities you've discovered through your trials? How might God be using this season to shape you into a leader, a guide, or an encourager for others? The story of Joseph offers another powerful example. After being sold into slavery and imprisoned, Joseph not only survived but thrived. using his gifts of interpretation and leadership to rise to prominence in Egypt. Genesis 41:41-44. Those dark, lonely years were not wasted. They were the training ground for the empowerment God had in store for him. As you navigate this season, remember that God's plan is not just to prepare you, but to empower you. He is building your confidence, refining your character, and instilling the boldness you will need to fulfill your calling. Isaiah 40:29 assures us, He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Take heart, chosen one. The struggles you face now are not signs of defeat, but proof that God is working in you. Through these challenges, He is unlocking potential you never knew existed and empowering you for the extraordinary purpose that lies ahead. Chosen one, your season of isolation is not an accident, nor is it without meaning. Isolation is a time of learning. It is a sacred space of preparation, a hidden season where God is working deeply within you. It is during this time that you are being shaped, refined, and equipped for the extraordinary purpose He has planned for your life. Think of isolation as a divine classroom. Here, God is teaching you lessons that you could never learn in comfort or ease. You are being taught patience, the kind that allows you to trust His timing, even when the path ahead seems unclear. You are learning resilience, the ability to rise after every setback. Your faith is being fortified, not just to believe in God's promises, but to walk boldly in them when the time comes. And you're gaining wisdom, the kind that only comes from experiencing trials and emerging stronger. Do you see how every challenge you face in this season is a tool in God's hands, crafting you into the person He needs you to be? Could it be that what feels like rejection or delay is actually the foundation for your destiny? The Bible is filled with stories of God's chosen ones who were hidden before being revealed. Consider Esther, who spent years in preparation before stepping into her role as queen and saving her people. Esther 2:8-17. Think of Joseph, who endured years in obscurity and imprisonment before being elevated to a position of great authority. Genesis 41:41-43. Even Jesus himself spent 40 days in the wilderness before beginning his ministry. Matthew 4:1-11. What do all these stories have in common? In each case, isolation was not a setback, it was a setup. God used these hidden seasons to prepare His chosen ones for their mission. In Esther's quiet years, He prepared her to lead with wisdom and courage. In Joseph's darkest moments, He taught him humility and resilience. In Jesus' time in the wilderness, He strengthened his spirit and focus for the trials ahead. Could your current season of invisibility be God's way of shaping you for something far greater than you can imagine? This time of isolation is also a time of protection. God is hiding you from distractions, harmful influences, and premature exposure. He knows that stepping into your purpose too early could jeopardize the fullness of what He has planned. The Bible says in Psalm 27:5, "For in the day of trouble He will keep me safe in His dwelling. He will hide me in the shelter of His sacred tent and set me high upon a rock." When God hides you, it is not to diminish you, but to shield you. Imagine a seed buried deep in the soil. In its hidden state, it absorbs nutrients, grows roots, and prepares to break through the surface at the right time. Your season of invisibility is just like this. God is ensuring that you're firmly grounded so that when the time comes, you will not only grow, but thrive. Another critical aspect of this isolation is character development. God is shaping your heart and refining your character so that you are ready to carry the weight of your purpose. Leadership, influence, and blessings all require a solid foundation of humility, integrity, and faith. These qualities are not formed in moments of ease, but in times of testing. As Romans 5:3-4 reminds us, we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, character, and character, hope. Do you find it challenging to trust the process, especially when the waiting feels endless? How might God be using this time to prepare you for what's ahead? This process may feel difficult now, but trust that God is at work in you. Every trial is designed to strengthen you. Every delay is a lesson in patience. And every moment of solitude is an invitation to draw closer to Him. When God decides to reveal His chosen ones, it is never subtle. When Joseph emerged from prison, he was elevated to the highest position in Egypt. When Esther stepped forward, she changed the fate of an entire nation. And when Jesus began His ministry, His impact reverberated through all of history. When God reveals you, it will be unmistakable that His hand is upon your life. No force will be able to stop what He has ordained. Isaiah 60:22 assures us, "When the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen." So, dear chosen one, if you feel hidden, overlooked, or ignored, take heart. This is not the end of your story, it is the beginning of something extraordinary. God is carefully preparing the stage for your moment of revelation. Trust in His perfect timing and His divine plan. Use this time to grow, to strengthen your faith, and to align your heart with His purpose. Have you considered how this period of waiting might be God's way of ensuring you are ready to shine when the time comes? The waiting may be challenging, but it is not wasted. When your time of revelation arrives, you will be equipped, prepared, and empowered to step fully into the purpose He has designed for you. Trust the process, chosen one. Your moment of greatness is coming. Then fourth and final reason why God isolates the chosen to elevate them. Chosen one, do you feel hidden, unseen, or as though the world has forgotten about you? What if this season of concealment is not a setback, but a divine setup? Before God elevates His chosen ones, He first hides them. This is not rejection, it is preparation for the greatness He has in store for you. The story of Joseph provides a powerful example. Isolated by his brothers, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, and later imprisoned, Joseph faced hardship after hardship, Genesis 37:23 to 28:39-20. Yet every one of these experiences was part of God's intricate plan to prepare him for leadership. When the time was right, Joseph was not just freed, he was elevated to the position of governor of Egypt, second only to Pharaoh himself, Genesis 41:41 to 44. His journey of isolation was the very path that led to his ultimate purpose. Do you see parallels between Joseph's journey and your own? Could the difficulties you're facing now be part of the divine process God is using to prepare you for elevation? Just as God hid Joseph for a time, He may be hiding you today. This concealment is not failure, it is evidence of His plan to reveal you in a powerful way. When God decides to elevate one of His chosen, no force, human or spiritual, can stand in the way. The Bible tells us in Isaiah 14:27, "For the Lord Almighty has purposed, and who can thwart Him? His hand is stretched out, and who can turn it back?" This truth applies to you. When your time comes, the world will see that it is God who has elevated you. Your isolation is not an ending, it is an announcement. It is the precursor to a new phase in your life, a season where God's promises will unfold before your eyes. Have you ever paused to consider that the very fact you feel unseen could mean that God is preparing to show you to the world in His perfect timing? God's concealment is intentional. It is during this time that He shapes your character, strengthens your faith, and prepares your heart for the responsibilities that come with elevation. Leadership and influence require a foundation of humility and integrity, and God is ensuring that you are ready to carry the weight of His calling. What qualities do you feel God is building in you right now? How is He preparing your heart for the greatness that lies ahead? The Bible reminds us of this principle. Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that He may lift you up in due time, 1 Peter 5:6. If you feel hidden or overlooked, do not let discouragement take root. This is not the time to doubt your worth or question your purpose. Instead, see this season as a divine opportunity for growth and preparation. Just as the best fruit is cultivated in hidden, quiet places before it is harvested, God is working in the unseen areas of your life to make you ready for what's to come. When God reveals you, it will be undeniable that His hand is upon you. Joseph's rise to power wasn't subtle, it was extraordinary. Esther's moment of courage wasn't quiet, it changed the fate of her people. When God decides to elevate His chosen, it is a moment that demonstrates His glory and purpose in ways no one can deny. Is it possible that your current challenges are the final steps before your elevation? How can you trust God more deeply during this time of preparation? Chosen one, your time of revelation is coming. God has not forgotten you, nor is He delaying without purpose. Every moment of isolation is part of His perfect process, ensuring that when your time comes, you will be ready to fully embrace all He has prepared for you. Remember the promise of Psalm 37:34. Hope in the Lord and keep His way. He will exalt you to inherit the land. When the wicked are destroyed, you will see it. Do not be discouraged. Instead, trust in the God who sees you, who knows you, and who has already planned your elevation. Isolation is part of the process, but elevation is the promise. Stay faithful, for when God reveals you, it will be in a way that brings glory to Him and fulfills the extraordinary purpose He has for your life. Biblical examples of divine isolation. Chosen one, it is no coincidence that you are experiencing a season of isolation or difficulty. Throughout history, God has used such moments as tools for growth, preparation, and transformation. While isolation can feel painful and challenging, it is often the very process through which God shapes our character and equips us for the purpose He has planned. Could this be the moment where God is working most deeply within you? Let us begin this journey of discovery by reflecting on one of the most powerful stories of isolation in the Bible, the story of Moses. Moses, a man destined for greatness, began his journey with rejection and exile. Born into slavery but raised in Pharaoh's court, he was a figure of privilege and influence. Yet after killing an Egyptian who was abusing a Hebrew, Moses fled to the desert, leaving behind the life he once knew. Exodus 2:11-15. For 40 long years, Moses lived in isolation, tending sheep in Midian. Imagine what he must have felt, cut off from the position and people he once thought defined him. Have you ever experienced a moment when it felt like everything familiar was stripped away? How did you respond? What seemed like a setback for Moses was actually God's preparation. It was in the wilderness, away from the distractions of Pharaoh's court, that Moses learned humility and dependence on God. This time of solitude also prepared him to lead with patience and wisdom, qualities that would be essential for guiding the Israelites out of Egypt and through their own wilderness journey. When God finally appeared to Moses in the burning bush, it became clear that every moment of isolation had been part of a divine plan. Exodus 3:1-12. Moses' time in the desert equipped him for one of the most significant missions in history. Could it be that your current struggles, though painful, are shaping you into the person God is calling you to be? The story of Moses reveals a powerful truth. Isolation is often a season of preparation. Just as Moses needed time in the wilderness to grow into his role as a deliverer, God may be using this period in your life to refine and prepare you for something greater. The Bible reminds us in Deuteronomy 8:2, "Remember how the Lord your God led you all the way in the wilderness these 40 years, to humble and test you in order to know what was in your heart, whether or not you would keep his commands." Moses' story reminds us that isolation is not rejection, it is preparation. Without his time in the desert, Moses would not have been ready to lead the Israelites through their trials. Similarly, your current solitude may be the training ground for the extraordinary purpose God has planned for your life. How might your perspective on isolation change if you began to see it as God's way of preparing you for something greater? If you feel hidden, overlooked, or as though life is on pause, take comfort in Moses' example. Like him, you are not forgotten, you are being prepared. God's timing is perfect, and when he calls you, you will be ready to step boldly into your purpose. Do you believe that God is working in you right now, even if it's behind the scenes? Chosen one, have you ever felt overwhelmed, alone, or as though the weight of your journey was too much to bear? This is exactly how the prophet Elijah felt during one of the most challenging moments of his life. The prophet Elijah also went through a period of isolation, but it was in this season of isolation that Elijah discovered the gentle and restoring presence of God. After a powerful confrontation with the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel, Elijah achieved a great victory, proving that the Lord is the one true God. 1 Kings 18:24-40. Yet shortly after, he found himself fleeing for his life from Queen Jezebel's wrath. Fearful and discouraged, Elijah retreated into the wilderness, feeling utterly alone and defeated. 1 Kings 19:1-4. In the desert, Elijah reached his breaking point. He prayed for his life to end, believing he had nothing more to give. But God, in his compassion, met Elijah in his despair. Instead of rebuking him, God sent an angel to provide him with bread and water, strengthening him for the journey ahead. 1 Kings 19:5-8. And you, how often do we forget that even in our lowest moments, God provides exactly what we need? Could it be that he is sustaining you right now, even when you feel like giving up? Elijah's journey didn't end with physical nourishment. As he traveled to Mount Horeb, he had a profound encounter with God. Expecting God to appear in dramatic ways, through wind, earthquakes, or fire, Elijah instead experienced God's presence in a gentle whisper. 1 Kings 19:11-13. This whisper reminded Elijah that God is not always found in grand displays of power, but often in quiet, intimate moments. Elijah's time of isolation teaches us that solitude can be a season of spiritual renewal. It is often in the quiet, away from the distractions of the world, that we can hear God's voice most clearly. This period allowed Elijah to regain his strength, refocus his faith, and prepare to continue his prophetic ministry. When life feels overwhelming, do you withdraw from God, or do you seek his presence in the stillness? Could this be a time for you to reconnect with him on a deeper level? Elijah's story reminds us that God's care and provision are constant, even when we feel distant or discouraged. In isolation, God nourished Elijah both physically and spiritually, restoring his faith and preparing him for what lay ahead. As Isaiah 30:32 says, "In repentance and rest is your salvation. In quietness and trust is your strength. Chosen one, if you find yourself in a season of solitude, remember Elijah's example. Your isolation may feel like a wilderness, but it is also a sacred space where God can renew your spirit and speak directly to your heart. Are you ready to let go of the noise of the world and lean into the stillness, trusting that God will meet you there? God is not distant in your solitude. He is closer than ever. He is whispering words of love, guidance, and encouragement, reminding you that He is your strength and refuge. Use this time to listen, to rest in His presence, and to allow Him to restore your soul. Just as Elijah emerged from his time of isolation renewed and ready to fulfill his purpose, so too will you. Trust that God is working in you, preparing you for the next chapter of your journey. Will you embrace this time as an opportunity for renewal and transformation? Chosen one, even Jesus, the Son of God, experienced seasons of isolation. Among these, one of the most profound was the 40 days he spent in the wilderness following his baptism. Jesus was led by the Spirit into the desert, where he fasted, prayed, and faced relentless temptations from the devil. Matthew 4:1-11. This time of solitude was not a punishment, nor was it a moment of aimless wandering. It was a purposeful season of preparation, a sacred time to strengthen his connection with the Father and solidify his resolve for the ministry ahead. Chosen one, if even Jesus required solitude to prepare for his mission, could your own season of isolation be an opportunity for divine preparation? Have you ever felt led into a wilderness season in your life? During those 40 days, Jesus faced physical hunger, emotional isolation, and spiritual testing. The devil tempted him with 3 powerful offers: to turn stones into bread, to test God's protection, and to claim authority over the kingdoms of the world in exchange for worship. Each temptation aimed to distract Jesus from his purpose. Yet he resisted by relying on the truth of God's word. Matthew 4:7-10. Jesus' wilderness experience not only prepared him to face future challenges, but also empowered him for his mission of saving humanity. Emerging from the desert, he began his ministry with clarity, strength, and unwavering commitment to the Father's will. His time of solitude was essential for sharpening his focus and aligning his heart with the divine plan. What might God be asking you to focus on during this season? How can you use this time to strengthen your relationship with Him? Chosen one, after his dramatic conversion on the road to Damascus, the Apostle Paul experienced a profound shift in his life. Once a zealous persecutor of Christians, Paul encountered Jesus in a vision that forever changed him. Acts 9:1-9. But instead of immediately launching into public ministry, Paul withdrew into the Arabian desert for 3 years. Galatians 1:15-18. This period of isolation wasn't a delay, it was a divine appointment for preparation. During these years, Paul deepened his understanding of the gospel and grew in his relationship with God. It was a time for reflection, learning, and refining his purpose. This solitude equipped him to fulfill his mission as a powerful preacher to the Gentiles and an author of much of the New Testament. Have you ever considered that your current season of isolation might be God's way of inviting you to pause, reflect, and prepare for something greater? When Paul returned from his time in the desert, he was transformed, stronger in faith, clearer in purpose, and ready to embrace his calling. His story reminds us that sometimes stepping away from distractions and noise is necessary to hear God's voice clearly and align our hearts with His will. What areas of your life might need a reset or deeper reflection? How could stepping back help you gain clarity and strengthen your faith? Paul's isolation teaches us that solitude is a gift, a chance to deepen our understanding and prepare for what's ahead. God may be calling you to use this time to grow in wisdom and faith, just as He did with Paul. Another powerful example of isolation is Joseph, the beloved son of Jacob. Betrayed by his brothers and sold into slavery, Joseph faced years of solitude and suffering. Genesis 37:23-28. His journey was filled with trials, from serving in Potiphar's house to being unjustly imprisoned. Yet through it all, Joseph held on to his faith, trusting in God's plan, even when his circumstances seemed bleak. Each challenge Joseph endured was part of God's preparation for His ultimate purpose. Through his time in slavery and prison, he learned humility, resilience, and leadership. When the time came, God elevated him to the position of governor of Egypt, placing him in charge of saving countless lives during a famine. Genesis 41:41-43. Joseph's story reminds us that even in the darkest moments, God is working. His isolation and suffering weren't signs of abandonment, they were steps in God's greater plan. Have you ever faced a season where it felt like you were being tested beyond your limits? How might God be using those challenges to prepare you for something greater? When Joseph's time of elevation came, it was clear that every moment of his journey had been purposeful. God's hand was evident, and Joseph's faithfulness through his trials made him ready to step into his calling. Both Paul and Joseph's lives illustrate that isolation is not a detour, but a divine strategy for preparation. For Paul, it was a time to deepen his understanding of the gospel and his relationship with God. For Joseph, it was a season of enduring trials that shaped his character and prepared him for leadership. The Bible encourages us in James 1:2-4, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." If you are in a season of isolation, consider the lessons from these two men of faith. Like Paul, use this time to deepen your understanding and faith. Like Joseph, trust that every challenge is preparing you for the purpose God has for your life. What steps can you take today to embrace this season and trust in God's process? Could this be the time when God is equipping you for a future that exceeds your expectations? Trust in His timing, chosen one. Just as He worked in Paul and Joseph's lives, He is working in yours. Your season of isolation is not the end. It is the foundation for something extraordinary. Conclusion: trust in God's process. Chosen one, it is no coincidence that you are experiencing a season of isolation or difficulty. Throughout history, God has used such moments as tools for growth, preparation, and transformation. While isolation can feel painful and challenging, it is often the very process through which God shapes our character and equips us for the purpose He has planned. Could this be the moment where God is working most deeply within you? The biblical examples we've explored, Moses, Elijah, Jesus, Paul, and Joseph, are powerful reminders that isolation is never wasted. Each of these individuals went through seasons of solitude and adversity, but those times were essential for their preparation. Moses learned humility and leadership in the wilderness. Elijah rediscovered God's voice in a gentle whisper. Jesus was strengthened through fasting and prayer. Paul gained clarity in his calling, and Joseph's trials refined him for leadership. What might God be shaping in you during this season? How could this time of waiting be preparing you for something extraordinary? When we feel isolated, it can be tempting to question our worth or assume that we have been forgotten. But remember this: God does nothing by chance. If you feel hidden, it is because He is at work in you. He is separating you from distractions, protecting you from harm, and preparing you for the next phase of your life. The Bible assures us in Jeremiah 29:11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." This is not a moment to despair, it is an opportunity for growth. God is teaching you to trust Him more deeply, to strengthen your faith, and to develop the qualities that will be essential for your calling. Have you ever considered that your current isolation might be the very sign that something great is coming? Could this be God's way of preparing you for a season of impact and purpose? When God decides to reveal His chosen ones, it is always in a way that is undeniable and powerful. Think of Moses leading the Israelites out of Egypt, Elijah calling fire from heaven, Jesus transforming the world, Paul preaching to the nations, and Joseph saving entire generations from famine. Their lives demonstrate that God's preparation always leads to purpose. Could your current challenges be part of the process God is using to bring you to a place of greater influence and impact? The waiting may be difficult, but trust that it is intentional. God is working in ways you cannot yet see, molding you, teaching you, and equipping you for the role He has designed specifically for you. When the time comes, your purpose will unfold, and the world will see that God's hand has been upon you all along. If you feel separated from people, opportunities, or environments, know this: it is not a mistake, it is a divine action. God's timing is perfect and His separation is purposeful. He is hiding you, not to diminish you, but to protect and prepare you. This is your moment to deepen your faith, seek Him with greater intensity, and allow Him to shape you for the calling He has reserved for you. Psalm 37:5 encourages us, "Commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him and He will do this." Chosen one, take heart. Your season of isolation is not the end. It is the beginning of something extraordinary. Trust the process, for when God decides to reveal you, it will be undeniable. You will shine, not by your own efforts, but because of the work God has done in and through you. What steps can you take today to embrace this time of preparation and lean into God's purpose for your life? Remember, isolation is not rejection, it is refinement. It is the foundation upon which God builds something extraordinary. When your time comes, you will be ready to fulfill the incredible purpose He has for you. Trust in His timing, and know that He is always working, even in the unseen. Your moment of revelation is on the horizon. Will you trust Him to complete the work He has begun in you? Chosen one, when God decides to reveal you, it will be impossible for anyone to deny the work He has done in your life. The transformation will be so evident, so profound, that those around you will not only notice, but will be drawn to the power of God working through you. You will become a living testimony of His grace, His faithfulness, and His extraordinary ability to take what seems hidden and turn it into something glorious. The waiting may feel long and the process may feel heavy, but each day in this season of isolation is an opportunity for growth and transformation. Every trial, every moment of solitude, and every lesson is shaping you for the purpose God has prepared. As 2 Corinthians 4:16-17 reminds us, "Therefore we do not lose heart. Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all." Chosen one, do you see how this time is not wasted, but is instead a sacred opportunity to draw closer to God? Each day offers a chance to deepen your faith, sharpen your focus, and prepare your heart for the great things He has in store. Have you considered how God might be transforming you, even now, in ways that will only be revealed when the time is right? When the moment comes, God's timing will be perfect, His work in you will be undeniable, and your life will reflect His power and purpose. This is not just about your personal growth, it is about glorifying God through the testimony of your journey. Those who doubted, overlooked, or misunderstood you will see the unmistakable hand of God in your life. Isaiah 61:3 speaks of this transformation. They will be called oaks of righteousness, a planting of the Lord for the display of His splendor. Chosen one, you are being prepared to display God's splendor. Your life will not only reflect His goodness, but will inspire others to seek Him. What steps can you take today to fully embrace this period of growth and transformation? How can you trust that God's plan is working for your good, even when the outcome isn't yet visible? Do not be discouraged by the waiting. Do not lose hope in the midst of challenges. Instead, see this time as a vital chapter in the story God is writing for your life. Each experience, whether joyful or painful, is preparing you to be revealed as a vessel of His glory. When your time comes, you will shine, not because of your own strength, but because of the work God has done in and through you. You will stand as a living testimony of His power, His love, and His ability to take what was hidden and turn it into something extraordinary. Trust that God's timing is perfect and His plans for you are good. Hold on to the truth of Philippians 1:6, being confident of this, that He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. Chosen one, are you ready to trust the process, to embrace the growth, and to prepare for the moment when God reveals you to the world? Let this be your hope. What God has begun in you, He will bring to completion in His perfect timing. As we conclude, I want to thank you, Chosen One, for taking the time to reflect on this message. Your journey through isolation is not in vain. It is a season of preparation, growth, and transformation. God is working in you, even in the quiet and hidden moments, shaping you for the extraordinary purpose He has designed for your life. If this message has touched your heart, I encourage you to share it with 7 people. Perhaps God is using you as a vessel to speak to someone else who feels alone or unsure. A simple word of encouragement can change the course of someone's life, reminding them that they too are chosen and that God's hand is at work in their story. Declare this with faith: I am chosen. Believe it, live it, and walk with the confidence that God is by your side, guiding every step. Your purpose is unfolding, and the best is yet to come. May God bless you abundantly on this journey. May He strengthen your faith, comfort your heart, and prepare you for the great things He has in store. Stay strong, dear Chosen One, for the revelation of His work in your life is on its way. Go forth in peace and hope, knowing that His promises never fail. Comment 777 as a sacred signal that you're ready to step into the next season. Thank you for being here, and may God's blessings overflow in your life. Amen.